let them continue without fierce opposition, and we stand here today in defiance of their siege and destroy their symbols of oppression. So what we were doing is trying to destroy the symbols of the things that are cause harm, that oppress us.
Hello, my friends. I hope you are doing well. And I hope you had a blessed Beltana, a wicked Walpurgisnacht, or a great May Day, whatever you celebrate. Speaking of celebrations, a group of Christian Karens got their panties all up in a bunch this last weekend of April. Why, you may ask? Because the Satanic Temple held SatanCon at a hotel in Boston, and these righteous warriors of God had to arm themselves with a bullhorn and a soapbox. No sinners, fornicators, or blasphemers were getting away with holding a satanic-themed convention. Not on their watch. One of these organizers recently spoke on CBN about the horrors of SatanCon. SatanCon. Let's listen to what he has to say. I hope you enjoy.
Well, thanks for joining me today. I want to dig right into SatanCon. Before we get into the incredible reason that we're talking today, which is that people were actually getting saved at SatanCon, what was your reaction when you first heard about this massive gathering of Satanists?
I doubt people were saved, or should I say converted, to your religious ideology. Many people, including myself, would see that as becoming enslaved and not saved. Sure, I think Christianity has its benefits for people who follow the tenets of caring for their fellow man, having compassion, and being a better person. However, believing in Satan or a devil and evil spirits is a superstitious trapping that has caused much suffering and harm to innocent people. Thanks, King James.
Yeah, I think it was, it's the times that we're living in. We're living in a spiritual war.
When will you win this one-sided spiritual war of yours? When you eliminate Satanism, atheism, witchcraft, and all forms of paganism? Then what is next? Hinduism? Buddhism? Islam? Judaism? Catholicism? Who is pure enough to satisfy your criteria? Will this spiritual war finally end when Christianity is made into the one-world religion?
And these people, these Satanists, they're feeling more emboldened than ever to gather, to mobilize, to let everyone know who they are. And
these people, these Satanists, are feeling more emboldened? Emboldened to do what? To hold a satanic convention? To mobilize? What are they mobilizing for? They have every right to legally assemble. Your superstitious fears are being projected onto them, and they in turn are playing off your Christian mythology. Do I agree with their brand of political Satanism? Not particularly, but I fully support their rights under our First Amendment to peacefully assemble. Nowadays, everyone is for freedom of speech, well, except when that speech offends them. They support freedom of religion as long as it is their religion. They oppose cancel culture, but they'll endorse boycotting beer if a certain person appears on a can. The hypocrisy is blatantly obvious. It's easy to point a finger at another as you avert your gaze from the mirror in front of you.
Yeah, we've encountered them across America. They've come to our events and dumped blood on us and harassed our people. I'm not. They've sent me postcards. I have postcards here that they sent me just last week. Satanists, they sent it right to my house and threats and all kind of stuff on it. So
dumping blood on you and harassment is wrong. And whoever sent you any actual threats, I fully condemn that, and I absolutely do not support violence because of a difference of opinion. I hope you have reported these actions to the proper authorities. I have received the Bible in 2 letters from random people. I was a little concerned they got my address, but they were not something that I felt was a legitimate threat. If I did, I would contact the SFPD immediately.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, really. I just think it reveals kind of the hour that we live in America.
I have to wonder, are you seeking these people out and they are being reactionary? Or are you avoiding them and they are seeking you out? I'm not victim blaming here, but if you approach someone on the street and hurl insults at them and they punch you in the face, well, that was your fault.
Yeah, no, that's a way to put it. And you've been incredibly vocal the last couple of years out there performing and speaking. You continue to. It's a little alarming that they have your home address, that they're sending you things there. But
yes, it is alarming that some stranger has your home address. Maybe stop going out of your way to harass and insult Satanists and see if they stop harassing you. And if you want to decry that it's your freedom of speech to harass another, then be prepared to be harassed back. You don't have to seek these people out. You could just let them have their convention and leave them be. Problem solved.
You know, I think you raise a good point that the culture is so chaotic, we probably shouldn't be shocked or surprised to see these kinds of events happening.
Let's be honest here. When has culture ever satisfied you religious extremists? Were you satisfied after the witch craze where alleged witches were hung to death in the gallows and burned at the stake? Were you satisfied after the moral panic of Dungeons and Dragons or heavy metal music? What about the innocent victims of the satanic panic? And today you are not satisfied with culture because Satanists are having a convention? Your religious superstition has caused more harm to culture than any convention possibly could.
But one thing that really surprised me, I saw you posted on social media, and I know there were a lot of protesters, you know, at this event, at SatanCon.
Yes, there were many Christians protesting a lawful and peaceful assembly.
We've had threats, and there are protesters, quite a few of them outside. We have no problem with them protesting. That's their right to do, as long as they, keep it out there and let us do what we need to do safely inside.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
I am sure the surrounding businesses and residents were very pleased that a marching band was blaring music. Let's read some of these banners. Satan is evil. Evil has no rights. Well, human beings do have rights. Satanism is not a religion. It is an attack on God. How can other beliefs be an attack on your belief? And your religion invented the character of Satan. One nation under God excludes Satanism? The phrase, one nation under God, was added to the Pledge of Allegiance on June 14, 1954, by then President Eisenhower. Despite your protests, America is not a Christian theocracy.
But there were actually people there who were being ministered to, and nearly 100 people became Christians. Apparently, take us through this.
My bullshit detector is going off. I did a search on YouTube for Satanists Get Saved at SatanCon 2023, and not a single video came up. With nearly everyone having a video capture device with them at all times, it strikes me as odd that not a single Christian captured any one of these 100 or so conversions. So forgive me if I don't just take your word for it.
Yeah, so there's an amazing community of ministries and a network of churches and evangelists across that whole region. And I know this because every year, for many years in a row, we would bring teams to the largest gathering of witches that happens in Salem, right outside of Boston. It happens every year on Halloween. It's called Haunted Happenings.
Oh, good. So you're not just harassing Satanists. You're an equal opportunity harasser. I don't know why people would be targeting you.
And so we always bring worship teams in, and we bring evangelists in, and we see God do amazing things. I love that verse that says that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. I mean, that's John 1:5, and that's what we see happen at these events. So in response to SatanCon, a lot of those groups rallied together, and they mobilized over 250 evangelists to hit the streets in 8 different sections around this SatanCon gathering.
So you were harassing the whole city, not just the hotel. The average person does not enjoy being yelled at through a bullhorn as they walk down the street. I see you were doing the Lord's work. Don't bother opening a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen. No, mobilize your resources on Satanists having a convention. Glad your brand of Christian extremism has its priorities.
And they prayed for hundreds of people. They were ministering and worshiping, and almost 100 people gave their life to Jesus, confessed him as Lord.
And yet, not a single video of it happening at SatanCon.
It's just so powerful, an amazing testimony. I think it was one of the largest mobilized missions strikes on Boston in that area in a long time.
Look at the smugness on this guy's face. I find it so ironic that the Satanists were the ones minding their own business and the Christians were the ones all up in arms over it.
And these were presumably people who were showing up to participate in SatanCon in some way, I assume. These people who ended up accepting Christ, which is incredible. At SatanCon, they're accepting Christ. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that there were several people that were either there attending, people that were kind of just in that whole area wondering what was going on. Maybe they came in to check it out. Maybe they, I don't know specifics of how many actual attendees, but I know that almost 100 people gave their life to Jesus right there, right around that region. And so,
wait, you know that hundreds gave themselves to Jesus, or you imagined they did? You're contradicting yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that there were several people that were either there attending, people that were kind of just in that whole area wondering what was going on. Maybe they came in to check it out. Maybe they, I don't know specifics of how many actual attendees, but I know that almost 100 people gave their life to Jesus right there, right around that region. And so, yeah, it's just a huge, just testimony of God working in the midst of great darkness.
You are the one in darkness. I am pretty sure followers of the Satanic Temple are all atheists. The only theistic Satanists at this convention were the protesting Christians outside.
It's interesting because we're sitting here, you showed the postcards that people had sent to your house. There's a lot of reason for people to get anxious, I think, and angry. And a lot of Christians do get angry and of course we watch what's happening to culture, and it's very easy to get frustrated.
No, there's absolutely no reason to be angry with Satanists having a convention. Your anger over whatever you believe is happening in culture is not the fault of Satanists. That is your misplaced superstitious projection of fear.
But then you hear a story like this, right? Not that there's not a place for frustration sometimes or anger, but you hear a story like this that people went out and they had a strategic plan to minister. Yeah. And they went out there, they did that. And because of that, nearly 100 people accepted Christ.
Yeah, 100. Imagine people got saved at SatanCon or in that general vicinity. Right, Sean? And how do you say your last name? Is it Fucked? Sean Fucked? Is your middle name Git?
What does this show you about how we need to handle ourselves with our tone, how we interact when it comes to our faith in difficult circumstances?
Well, for starters, you and Mr. Get Fucked here could mind your own business and leave other people alone. Let witches and Satanists have their conventions in peace.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show us, like, the gospel is very active. We take territory, we take ground. And in many ways in America, we've become very reactionary. We react to things, we react to darkness, we, get angry, we go online, we troll, we do all these things. And
you get angry and go online to troll people who hold different beliefs from your own? Wow, you are just a stand-up guy, Mr. Fucked.
Really, I mean, we got to present a greater alternative. We got the best story in the whole world. We got the greatest news in the whole world. We got the more authority. The Bible says in Matthew 16 that he's given us the keys of the kingdom.
Personally, I like Irish stories. Christian mythology has too much rape, slavery, and murder in it for my taste. But you do you, Mr. Fucked, and I promise to never protest outside of a convention that you attend.
And whatever we bind on earth is bound in heaven, and loosed is loosed. And so we act like
bigoted jerks.
A lot of times we act like
jerks. Bigoted jerks.
One, we don't know the end of the story, which we do. Spoiler alert.
The attendees of SatanCon do not share the same beliefs as you. Why is Christian belief contingent on what others believe? I know you want to go out and save souls, but could you not do it in such an obnoxious way?
God wins. But two, we act like we don't have authority. And so we react and we're defensive instead of just being the hope, presenting the gospel. Now,
that sounds much better. Sean, you do that over there, and I'll do what I do over here. Agreed? Good. We got that settled. See, different beliefs in this world can get along.
I've been targeted even since sharing this testimony from the guy that founded the Satanic Temple, calling me a liar and how do you know? And, so it's funny how those guys are actually, I think at the end of the day, like darkness is scared of light.
Maybe stop following him to conventions and don't spread any lies about him. You know what I do when I find someone I don't like? For starters, I don't seek them out or protest outside their conventions. I avoid them. Amazing how much peace of mind this can bring you. You might want to try it.
And the thing about the gospel is it does not back down. Doesn't back down during a pandemic. It doesn't back down during, a dark, hard, difficult time. It doesn't back down to, political polarization. The kingdom of God advances, and it has been doing this for thousands of years.
Great. Just keep it to yourself.
Absolutely. And, I found it so interesting at their opening, ceremony there when they tore up the Bible and they tore up the blue line flag and all of that. Yeah. And people were yelling, "Hail Satan," and I thought it was so interesting because
in America, we can rip up books or burn them in huge bonfires. Just ask Pastor Greg Locke about it.
A church has a religious right to burn occultic materials that they deem are a threat to their religious rights and freedoms and belief system.
Gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja, dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten.
I personally find it distasteful, but that is the price I pay to live in a free country with other people who hold different beliefs from my own. Mr. Fucked, are you sensing my subtle theme of mutual tolerance and respect for one another's beliefs yet?
And this is a whole other conversation, but I guess I'll bring it up because I think it is intriguing. You have a group of people, the Satanic Temple, they claim to not believe in Satan as a literal entity. They don't believe, he's sort of this figurative entity, but yet all these things are going on that they seem more than symbolic, right? They seem more than, why are we yelling "Hail Satan"? It's so strange to watch that dynamic unfold. I don't know if you want to react to that at all, but I guess in my mind, I think, gosh, the enemy uses people even when they don't realize they're being used sometimes.
They are trolling you. The Satanic Temple is more of a political organization, and they are using your own mythology against you. I'm not a Satanist. I do find it ironic that medieval Christians took imagery from the Greek god Pan to portray Satan's appearance.
Yeah, they can say that they don't believe in whatever and try to be secular with it. But, we know that there's dark powers that are at work. And
no, there are dark and sick people in this world. Human beings are responsible for their actions, not some unseen entity living underground. We are that devil and we are that angel. Men are capable of great things, and they are 100% responsible for their actions, be they for evil or for good.
I know some people that were Satanists that ended up getting saved. They were deep in the occult. I know a guy that was a satanic high priest.
Witches, black artisans, celebrants of the Black Mass.
Gave his life to Jesus and planted a massive church and really reached out to that whole community. So I'm sure there's some on the fringes that want to make it seem like, oh, it's not really darkness, not really Satan, it's more secular. But the inner core of it is definitely
not real,
demonic. And that, you see that ripping up the pages of the Bible. It's so overwhelmingly cheesy in my opinion, but it really is at the root of what they believe. They want to rip up the Bible. They want to.
You keep emphasizing that they ripped up a Bible. Yeah, I think it's cheesy too. Many Christians tell people to burn occult materials or books they deem to be occult all the time.
And right now we're going to go through a list of things that should be burnt.
See, of witchcraft. Somebody sent us through the mail.
Do you recommend getting rid of the books out of the house?
I recommend burning them.
Yeah.
But not just rebuke it, recant it, and have fun tearing it to pieces.
They make bonfires and burn our books. One Bible gets ripped up and suddenly it's an attack on your beliefs. Welcome to how we feel.
Disavow Jesus. They want to, but then even deeper, they want to indoctrinate children. They want to have Satan clubs at schools. They want this to be a common thing in America. And it's going to take people all across the nation with boldness and courage to rise up and say, no, we're not going to let that happen.
No, this Satanic After School Club is for parents to have an option. They do not want to indoctrinate children. They want parents to have a choice. I know, having freedom to choose is against your brand of theocratic totalitarianism, but again, we live in a free society. Parents are free to choose what their children should believe. After all, isn't that at the heart of the parental rights bills being passed? You extremists are so busy seeing the differences that you are blind to the common goals you may share.
So as we sort of round out to the end here, because there's so much we could talk about, but one thing that has struck me about your story when we've talked is just that you've been so vocal and you've persistently been vocal. You haven't backed down. Even when people have your home address, they're sending you postcards.
I have received letters and a Bible in the mail from strangers. It's not that horrible.
You're still speaking the truth, sharing the gospel. You did it during COVID. You've done it since then. What has kept you moving in that direction, continuing to be open and speaking?
I would guess a combination of delusional grandeur and a feeling of moral superiority.
Well, I think that, there's a lot at stake right now, and I think what prepares me for this moment in culture in this season is my history with the underground church.
You keep saying culture. The Satanic Temple is not changing our culture. People change culture. They find others who share their interests. This is why they join churches or clubs, or attend a satanic-themed convention. You want to scapegoat all problems you see with culture onto those you perceive as evil. In turn, you feel justified to vilify and get angry with them. And, by your own admission, you even go out of your way to troll them online. Then, when these people retaliate, you play the victim. Well, I have no desire to play into your psychopathic game, so I hold no animosity toward you. I pity you. You are a delusional, fearful, superstitious bigot, and I will leave you to wallow in your own bile of hatred. You are not even worthy of my scorn.
And, I grew up watching their boldness and their courage and their tenacity and their unwillingness to back down, and their willingness to sacrifice and lay their life on the line and put themselves in harm's way. And I think we got a lot of Christians out there that they want everyone to like them. And I just tell them, hey, you should probably just go sell ice cream, But if you want to do things for the kingdom, if you want to take back powers and principalities, and if you want to, see God show up, see the kingdom come and His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. If you want to live that prayer, you're going to encounter some resistance, and you're going to encounter some pushback and some persecution and some threats, but He who's in you is greater than he is in the world. So we got to rise up.
Well, your brand of evangelism is obnoxious and invasive. You're not winning any converts over with your brand of aggressive, in-your-face ministry. That's why you have to make up imaginary ones. You keep screaming at people and then wonder why one of them punches you in the face. Whatever faith or belief you may hold is protected under our First Amendment, along with all other faiths and beliefs, even those you disagree with. Small-minded men like this Mr. Get Fucked have nothing but hatred and bigotry, fueled by ignorance and fear. Until next time, my friends, I will see you in hell, you heathens.
I've received death threats leading up to this. I'm sure there's been death threats sent to our headquarters. Back in the summertime, there was a arson attack in our headquarters that did a substantial amount of damage and could have killed a number of people inside, including visitors. So it's not just idle threats. People actually, do stuff. And we had our director of programming for SatanCon a few years ago had a gunman show up at her house and threatened to kill her, and the police had to come and take him away.